Is Ryan still sending you the Legends gear?
They don't make my size in Legends, so I have
That's
not been
interesting.
able to partake in the Legends.
I thought they made my size, but you can kind of see my balls in
Right?
all the shorts.
You're with me on that, right?
Yeah, and Ryan came to Montana in a pair of those Legends mediums, and my dad within like 3 minutes was like my mom actually told Waylon to ask him why he has Waylon shorts on.
And yet nobody could see his balls. How's that add up?
I ain't got me nobody. I ain't got me no. I got the green light, baby.
Steve, Scott Van Pelt just called while we were waiting to start the show, and he was giving me a bunch of shit about Virginia and Maryland up in College Park. He was asking me if I'm going, and the answer is no way.
Oh. Why not?
Well,
College Park is worse than Blacksburg.
yeah, I'd rather
Wow.
go to see a game for
Yeah.
real.
Come on.
No, Blacksburg's got the mountains and shit,
You
cow
guys-
pastures.
Yeah, Maryland's got a plastic turtle shell in the end zone. But he's-
Nice new video board. Great tailgate scene.
Yeah.
Great tailgate
A lot of
scene.
parking lots.
I kind of wanted to see Charlotte win, my guy Biff Poggi, so hopefully we can avenge that loss. But I'm not going to drive 3 hours to College Park and get home at 3 in the morning for a Virginia game until they show me a little something.
There's a thing called hotels. You know?
Yeah, you're right. I just can't stay there long.
Good golly, the line's 14.5.
Is it 14 and a half?
Yes, it is.
Jeez
Okay, well,
Louise.
talking
Macon
gambling.
sounds good.
Talking gambling.
Hey, listen. All right, listen, real quick. All right, the 2.5-year-old puked twice. So then she comes into my bed. Mom's in the nursery with the baby, and then there's like a big cough, and like I turn to be like, "Are you good? You all right?" And then she says, "Yeah," and then another big cough, and boom, puke right in my face.
Ooh.
Just puke all
Good
over
guy
my
to have in
face.
the studio today, patient zero.
Did you get the smell off or no?
The
That's
smell
the
wasn't
worst.
bad.
You can't ever get the smell off.
She had got the bad smell was the first one. Second one was
Watery.
Yeah, third one we were.
But Macon, just let's cut to the chase here. We got to talk about last weekend.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
0-3, Steve. Do you understand the assignment with 3 locks?
Yeah.
Fucking professional gambler. You
Hey.
serious? 0-3.
It ain't been pretty. I'll tell you that.
Good
Across the board.
golly.
3-0 right here, baby. Leader of the pack.
Yeah. Well, I went against Chris in 2 of them, so
Yeah. Well, you took
Are we
Pittsburgh
counting-
from
we're
me, and
counting
I'm really
pushes?
happy
Is
about it.
yeah. So I helped Chris
I
not get a
push?
loss. So
Go
that's
ahead.
like
You
a
have the
half.
floor.
There's a push. Eagles Pats 45. It was a push.
Oh, was it push?
But you're
Yeah.
unbeaten.
On two.
What are you making?
I'm 2-1,
Okay.
Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get to the
I'm 2
the
back
locks
in the loss
later.
column. That's all that matters.
We'll get to the locks later. Hey, Steve, how was
What?
Tuscaloosa?
Idiot.
Phenomenal. Been a while since I've been there. It's just like I think it was over 200,000 people on the quad tailgating before, and my girl Jess Sims and I took a walk, strolled through the tailgates, and boy, were people getting after it. Have you guys been in the stadiums with the new like LED lighting?
No.
It's crazy. So they turn the lights off in the stadium, and everybody puts their cell phone flashlights on, and then like they do these dances. Like one was a Drake song, one was a song I don't even know, but the visuals are pretty crazy. But the problem is, they do it during a TV timeout, so the broadcast doesn't see it. But I think it's 3 minutes of TV timeouts. But when the lights come back on, it's so bright. Like for them to start playing, like it really messed with your eyes. But the atmosphere is incredible. Being in there, a couple first timers I was with from work were absolutely blown away. Singing "Sweet Home Alabama" before the game, their tradition. Just the student section. I mean, it was hot too, man. Like those guys, you forget those first couple games playing in August and September, man. Those guys are going. I mean, IVs are going left and right. But I talked about it last week. I thought Texas would hang around because of that defensive line, and boy, did they show out. Bama started the game running the ball right down their throat, and Texas with that depth, man. There's not a lot of teams that have experience in their depth, and that's what's going to be the most interesting thing moving forward is to see these you finally start to see the makeup of the rosters, but what's behind it. You see everybody in week 1. You start learning a little bit, but now, I know the coaches are concerned about what they actually have through the portal and recruiting and all that. So that's what's most interesting to me is what shakes out roster-wise and who could stay healthy.
We talk about depth. I mean, when I think about Alabama, I always think depth. I think they're better than your ones, and their twos are as good as your ones. And so, to see Texas roll in with that kind of depth, especially in today's era where I feel like in the era of transfer portal, NIL, it's hard to keep depth because guys are like, I'm not playing, I'm out.
No doubt. Your depth is all young.
Yeah.
Because of the portal. And that's, everybody throwing in their takes about Saban and the quarterback change. I mean, Nick addressed it. If they didn't go down and score, he was going to pull them. Yeah. So what kind of deal he has. But you go across the board, and especially a place like at Alabama, man, Milrose he doesn't have experience. And experience takes time. Yeah. They don't have time.
Yeah.
Not at Alabama. So it's fascinating to see unfold. And it's really cool to see some older teams like Texas and Florida State up at top in the top 5.
Your buddy Kyle, he doesn't gamble, and he decided to start this past weekend, and he put like $200 on Alabama. So he jumped on PD Public jumped on the tide, and he got it all over his face.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to be back for week 3 slate or week.
He better back. He better be back.
Okay. So what was the best bar at Tuscaloosa, the game day bar of the week, or did you go to bed?
Thursday I went out to see. It's crazy, Chris. It's been a long time, but I know the people in charge at Innisfree. That's the spot. And we went and grabbed some early dinner at Dreamland, the original. There's only one way to do it. But to be in a college bar with an NFL game on, every single male in there had money on the game. Like screaming at the TV. And I'm just sitting there looking like, man, it's nice to be young again. But the energy, Innisfree is a spot in T-Town for me for sure.
A lot of polos, a lot of vineyard vines.
Yep.
You think at Bama, is it Friday like that?
Yeah, dude.
Okay, I don't know. I've never been.
That was Thursday. Friday, no way. Friday's
here's
and even now we're going out to Mountain Time. It's even early. I might have to be in bed at 6:30.
You got to check out the Attic in Boulder. Never been there, but a quick Google search told me that's probably my kind of place.
Well, there's 2 places I've heard: the Attic and the Sink.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's good.
So we will be back with don't
hit the powder room.
Book report tomorrow or next week.
Yeah. So we've got some Colorado action this weekend. We can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
You're going to be in Boulder and Colorado State, Colorado. By the way, Joe Namath did a great job, I thought, on game day.
He's 80.
I know he did.
Can you imagine that if you're 80 and you get to look like that?
Yeah.
I was just in awe of the guy. Absolutely in awe of what he is and looks like at 80. God bless him.
Oh, quick, before we get to Colorado, guys, I don't know if you saw this, but I was listening to Around the NFL. Love that pod. And they were talking about this week in Milwaukee or Green Bay. There was a bar where
I saw that.
If the Jets lost the game, you drink for free. And so people were in there watching the game. They were huddled around the TVs. And when Aaron went down, it was like bar tabs through the roof. Like, there's no way Zach Wilson doesn't pay off for us tonight. And at the end of the game, it was supposedly quite the scene when everybody had to belly up to the bar and pay their tabs.
Yeah. Can I just mention that game quick because I was there?
Yeah.
It's obviously you've played there when it's been good. New York is great when it's good. And I literally, I haven't seen Joe Douglas in 5 years. And pregame, I go over, we're catching up, talking, and the way the weather delay was and letting people in the stadium, it was like the Bama Texas pregame. Like, the place is packed, music's blasting, and then Aaron comes out for the first time, padded up for warm-ups, and the place goes crazy. And I'm standing there next to Joe, and he literally looks up, and he's like, wow, this is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 40 minutes later, 4 plays, and it's as dead as you could be. But, coming back out for halftime with Scott and getting out there for the end of the fourth quarter, now one person left. The place was absolute mayhem, and I was standing in the end zone for the punt return. As soon as he takes the hezzy step, that everybody converged, and I just saw the sideline wide open. But
You have to get out of the way for the dog pile.
no, I was in the other end zone. I was in the other end zone.
Did you get leg whipped?
How about the poor guy that was grabbing Salah? Like, Salah, I think, was going to Randy Savage on top of Gibson, and this guy was holding him back.
Yeah, the get back guy. He's got to know in that situation. Okay, so Colorado State, Colorado.
Yeah.
I think the line's like 18.
I think like 23.
23 now? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so next week they've got Oregon. They have USC after that.
Yep.
The loss probably not coming this weekend. Is there anything that Colorado State has for Colorado?
Well, talking to a couple guys on their staff last night, the idea of watching Colorado and then getting geared up for them is just the precision of Shedeur Sanders. Like, when you watch him, it's so crisp, it's so clean, and how precise he is with his throwing. I mean, accuracy of, just so spot on, putting the ball where it needs to be. And the other thing is his awareness in the pocket. Their offensive line's not good, but the way he creates time in the pocket when they have those deep over routes is really something to see going back and watch the tape. So I think the idea is to outscore them. If you're Colorado State, they're switching quarterbacks. They're going with a more mobile guy. And you have to create explosive plays. The problem is you got to deal with Travis Hunter on one side. So it's, Colorado State does have a good receiver. They're going to try and get the ball. They had a weird bye week in week 2 after they got pumped by Wazoo. Yeah. So it's more like they still aren't sure what they have. But the idea I would, have to think is creating explosive plays to keep up. Colorado's going to score with the playmakers they have. Can Colorado State do it? I'm not sure. So, maybe a pretty predictable pick on the over for that game if you're going to take any action.
Who's the team in the Pac-12 that gives them the biggest matchup problem? There's a lot of good teams in
Oregon
the Pac-12,
State.
Ironically. Oregon State does.
Oregon State wants to mash you. And watching them early on, I had them making the Pac-12 title game. I have UCLA and Oregon State playing in the Pac-12 title game. But now, with Wazoo, beating the bag out of Wisconsin, Colorado doing this, there's 7 teams that could win that conference.
Yeah.
But Oregon State wants to mash you, and that's what's been really cool to see is how different DJ Uiagalelei looks as a thrower, because so much opens up when you can run the football against a team, and safety's got to come down in the box and you get more one-on-ones, and that's where you get your double moves. But he's looked phenomenal. But yeah, Oregon State's the team that looks I believe Colorado doesn't have to play Washington, but you mentioned it, at Eugene and then home for Caleb and the boys. That's where we'll really see what they have in its totality as Coach Sanders has rolling in Boulder.
Y'all two, they're 8 Pac-12 ranked teams right now. If this is 2-3 years ago, do they get the big TV deal and save the conference? Is this just bad timing?
It's
been bad timing for almost a decade, Macon.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. You think the discourse around Jay Norvell's comments is going to be pretty calm? He said, Deion, my mom taught me that, when I talk to grownups, I take my hat and my glasses off. So that's there's going to be more spice. It's just every week there's a little spice with this. And, part of it you could be like, yeah, Colorado's creating these issues, but Matt Rule talked about Deion on a podcast. But Jay Norvell opens his mouth about Deion and his sunglasses. It's like, what's it going to be week to week? As if these guys need any more fuel. But I will say this about Jay Norvell. That is a cool-looking motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, he might be one of the coolest-looking coaches in college. He actually played in the league, this Jay Norvell. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was one of the longtime assistants with Bob Stoops at Oklahoma. That's where I first met him. Yeah. Super good dude, buttoned up. But, as far as the words going back and forth, Chris, you mentioned Matt Rule. Sonny Dykes had plenty of things to say. And then I saw Sonny pull in Deion. I don't know if he's apologizing at the post-game handshake, but Matt Rule did the same thing. Has the handshake, pulls him in. Maybe he's explaining what he meant. I don't know, but it feels like that's going to be the norm is people, that second-guess the way Deion went about things, admitting they were wrong. But that's what he's about, man. He thrives off of proving people wrong. He's got his team playing really well. Like I said, how crisp they are on offense is really something to see when you look at what they have. And on defense, it's not great, but they got a transfer from West Virginia who's a disruptor up front, and the two guys that stayed are playmakers. So, like I said, the depth is the real thing you'll see, say, in 3 weeks from now, what they look like. And if they can stay healthy, watch out because they're going to score on people. They have that much talent on the perimeter.
Travis Hunter had a bit of a quieter day offensively. Does he have enough? Does that offense have enough for him to keep him in a Heisman race? And where do you see Shedeur Sanders fitting in with some of these other quarterbacks?
I love first on Shedeur. I don't see any reason. I mean, Ewers was great, but I trust Shedeur more throwing the football. Just seeing from mechanics, decision making, how fast he gets rid of the ball. Now Ewers has the wow moments, the deep ball, pop flies, letting guys run under it. But he does get a little lazy with that footwork. So when it comes down to it, I honestly, after seeing Drake May and then seeing like a Ewers and obviously Caleb's Caleb, I'm really interested to see how the NFL guys talk themselves about Caleb versus Drake, because I could see plenty of NFL guys leaning towards Drake. But that's their decision to make. I just have a feeling that momentum's going to go that way because he is that good. But I put Shedeur 3 over Quinn because of the consistency of throwing and the decision-making and the preciseness. It's been phenomenal to watch.
Obviously, when you look at Heisman classes, you look at classes based on, if you look back at 1982 and you've got Herschel Walker, John Elway, Eric Dickerson, you're like, okay, in retrospect, that's an amazing class, right?
Yeah.
We don't know how these guys are going to play in the pros, but I think before it's all said and done, you look back and say this is one of the deepest, most star-studded Heisman classes when it comes to college players. I mean, there's been some good ones, but at the end of the season, you just name 4 or 5 guys. There's going to be tough decisions on 5 and 6, and so I'd
love to know what was the most people sent to New York for the ceremony, because that's an interesting topic. Is who's going to be there? Like how don't you see Quinn Ewers and Shedeur Sanders there right now after the start to this season? It's been incredible.
A lot has to shake out between now and then.
No doubt.
Steve, can you spin this shitty slate?
It's
your job now.
I feel like I do this to you every week.
Yes, spin this slate because I just don't see much.
It's ranked teams on the road, man. I think there's only 2 ranked teams given less than a touchdown this week, and that actually has me fired because, like I said, with the portal and everything, I still think we're learning about these teams. So, Penn State's an example, right? Drew Aller has been phenomenal. This is the game I had circled for Penn State because now you get to see what they have on the road and what Drew Aller has. Illinois, I think they just forgot what time the game started last week against Kansas because they didn't show up in the first half. But now they're going to be motivated. That funky 11 a.m. early kick. I expect Illinois to play their butts off. Their defensive guys haven't showed up the first 2 weeks. I think I had it. It was 955 yards of offense Illinois has given up to Toledo and Kansas. That's not good, and that's not going to work. So I expect an inspired effort out of Illinois. They do have 2 really good D tackles and with some youth. Witherspoon getting drafted. So that's an interesting one for me that I want to see Aller on the road. Florida State goes on the road to BC. I believe that's the red bandana game. The rules with that. LSU hasn't been good. It's good to see Mason Smith back out there. What does Jaden Daniels look like in what's going to be a tough environment? That's 9.5 point spread. There was another team that's on the road.
Kansas State, Missouri. There's Washington and Michigan State.
All that's going on with Michigan State. Washington, plenty of hype, but now I get to see it. Big Ten atmosphere. That place will be juiced up to try and pick their guys up. Really interested to see what Kalen DeBoer and Michael Penix do on the road. DeBoer, I'm telling you, he's up there with Mike Norvell and Sark, out there. I just call them assassins because of the play calling. They just don't stop. And all hats off to Sark and what he did. He was tremendous. He didn't stop. They weren't afraid. They kept taking shots, and that's what I said to him. It was really impressive in that atmosphere in Tuscaloosa to answer every time. I call it the Bama swoon. I've seen plenty of teams go in there, and just one thing happens, and then the whole game turns around, whether it's a turnover or a breakdown on defense or a quarterback dropping a snap. It was really impressive to see Texas step up. But they've played well in those big games. Now they have to win the games that they're supposed to win. That's been the Achilles heel. So Washington and Penn State are the ones I have my eyes on. North Carolina gets a funky matchup against Minnesota. Total contrast of styles there, which will be interesting. Ohio State, if they can't score against Western Kentucky, I don't know what the problem is there. So plenty to watch, Chris. Don't give me this. You're not going to be watching. And Florida, Tennessee. Are you kidding?
Can I load up on UNC? Because I got the under win total on Minnesota. I'm wondering if you like that call or if you like UNC this weekend.
7.5.
Yeah, that was the win total too, right?
Yeah, I'm over. I'm over on NC State.
Okay,
and I'm under on Minnesota.
All right. Could have used NC State last week,
but in the water a little bit.
Could have used Nebraska beating Minnesota.
Sure,
I do
Nebraska.
like that because the Big Ten. I mean, pick your poison. I picked Wisconsin to win it. They don't look right with all the transfers and Fickle coming in. I do trust that they'll get it organized. But Minnesota doesn't have playmakers on the perimeter. Calic Manis is a good talent, but he's a guy that needs time. So what does North Carolina do? They went back to their old ways defensively against App State, but that's a no-win situation. You just beat South Carolina. And now you got the in-state, FCS, or no, they're not FCS anymore.
Did you guys see Mac Brown doing an ACC network interview in the middle of the prayer circle, basically after the game?
No,
I mean, he's just doing old guy stuff right now. We were talking about this, the way he grabbed up that coach a week ago by the neck, by the jowls, and then this week he's standing in the middle of the prayer circle talking about these guys pray and played a hard fought game.
He's threatening to play the kid that the NCAA didn't grant a waiver to.
He's in that stage.
Yeah,
it just took him a little bit longer.
Did Howie ever grab you by the jowls?
Yeah, Howie's grabbed me by the jowls. It feels a lot different than I would imagine Mac Brown.
I was gonna say, man, those are big paws around those little jowls.
I'm gonna spin the wheel here and see if you know anything about this game. Can Idaho beat Cal, Steve?
Ooh, Cal is big on injuries here. Idaho played really well last week. Cal is a great NFL running back, and Jaden Ott, he got hurt against Auburn. They also started Sam Jackson week 1. He got hurt against North Texas, and Finley had to come in. Then he got hurt against Auburn. If they had anything offensively, they beat Auburn. So that's a dangerous spot for Cal. Watch out there.
I like the Vandals. I might throw a little bit on the Vandals. Did you guys see Bama had a whole alligator in their training table at their facility? And they're not playing Florida. I had to check the sheet twice. They're playing South Florida.
Yeah.
They just like gator. It's just part of the food pyramid for Nick Saban's players. All right, so it's time for – this is my one question, Steve. With Texas and Florida State kind of rising and Bama, I'm not saying they're falling, but they've come back down to earth a little bit. It's a new era in college football. In 5 years, do you have like a surprise blue blood that might be entering the conversation? It's just too hard to see this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just think about the Big Ten, right? Like you got teams like Minnesota, right? They've had good seasons. They just missed making the Big Ten title game, the last 3 years. And now here come Washington, Oregon, UCLA, and USC. Mm-hmm. Like, I would think there's going to be a drop-off there, no?
Yeah.
You got to be – your work is that much harder now with the schedule. But Maryland's got a chance to take a step in the right direction this week with a big Friday night game. Maybe this is the ascending up to a new blue blood. So give me Maryland.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Does it really fuck them in recruiting, like a school like Minnesota, like Big Ten teams all of a sudden?
Absolutely.
You can have USC and UCLA coming into Manitoba to grab all your guys.
Absolutely. I think I was reading Fleck with Manis this year. I think he was the head coach at Western Michigan 4 years, and this is his 6th or 7th. He's had 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He started a young kid at Western Michigan. He ended up being a 4-year starter, and Tanner Morgan was there for 6 years. So he's been very fortunate and with the quarterback situation, and that's, with all the Elite 11 and all these quarterback and the grades going out there and 7-on-7, there's only so many schools you could go, and then no one wants to stay anywhere because they get beat out and they can't handle being a backup, which I'll never understand because you're always one snap away.
Yeah.
And that's why you want to bet on the coaches who are playing the portal, like a Luke Fickell. I bet Wisconsin is they're always good, but I bet they're a contender very shortly.
Yeah, because they're like 12 if you look at like 24/7 sports, whatever the fuck that means. You've got Wisconsin's like 12th in recruiting.
And probably even higher than that in portal.
Yeah,
Portal.
I mean, so they've got to hit the portal. And a team like Indiana, you're like, what do you do? You're like last in the Big Ten at grabbing talent. So there's a couple of these teams that I'm like, man, you feel bad for them with those guys coming into town.
Hugh Freeze, Auburn.
Yep.
They'll get in the portal.
No question.
They'll do some cheating.
No question. Okay, so Steve, it's time for awards.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. Conklin Award, Holden stays. Big day, tight end Notre Dame. Who was going to replace Michael Mayer in the passing game? Holden stays. Did you see him keep his feet in on that run, the 40-yarder from Hartman last week? Holden stays. Baller, over 100 yards last week. Looks like Notre Dame is going to be a problem this year for teams. And the Timmy Chang Award goes to 2 teammates. MJ Wright, wide receiver for Fordham. CJ Montez, quarterback for Fordham.
Of course.
Montez over 300 yards, 5 touchdowns. I believe MJ is the leader in football in catches. He has 21 catches already. They went to Buffalo and won, a team that some people were picking to win the MAC, but in totally crazy game. 40-37, Montez hits MJ with about 2 minutes left. They win 40-37 in Buffalo. MJ Wright, CJ Montez, Fordham Rams.
Are there any other Buffalo alums in the league besides Khalil Mack?
The running back Patterson was on the Commanders, I know, for a little bit.
Interesting.
I don't know if he made the practice squad this year, though.
Fordham
then
has the Stonehill Skyhawks this week.
The old quarterback, the big dude, he looked like Logan Thomas. He's playing tight end for somebody, or he was in the preseason.
Tyree Jackson.
Tyree Jackson, yeah.
This guy's good. I could ask a Buffalo alum. They wouldn't know. Steve knows.
Dude.
Okay, so congratulations.
Just watch the games. You'll learn a
Yeah,
lot.
just watch the games.
That's it.
400 of them.
Holden stays where it's 13 as a tight end. That's a nice number for a
That's
tight
a
end.
nice number for a tight end for sure.
Teens are great numbers for tight ends.
It's time. The day of reckoning. Thursday. Y'all boys got to deal with me. Yee-hee.
How's the travel schedule? Good?
It's fucking terrible, Steve.
Oh.
No, it's actually not that bad. I guess you go to Philly for Inside the NFL.
What do you take, the train?
Well, I'd love to, but Amtrak needs to get their shit together.
Oh.
There's no good times. Monday night, the whole thing is like, I'd like to travel up there on Monday night, but then you kind of like are traveling during Monday Night Football.
Yeah, dude.
And,
That
like
beats after the game. You got to see it.
it's a lot of fun hanging out with Ryan, Channing, and Jay and those guys and Chad at the Westin and watching Monday Night Football. I'd like to get up there for that, but I've been going on Tuesday morning. I had to drop the kids off at school and then go to the airport and do the show. By the end of Tuesday, I had to fly back to win a softball game 18-1. They didn't need me.
19-1.
Was it 19?
I think so.
I closed them out. I was too fried. I was tired. I smoked a cone in my car, and I was like, I'm too high to pitch. So I let Scotty, CEO Scott, get out there, and I finished it off. So, anyways, yeah, travel's been tough.
Steve,
How's Macon as a pinch runner?
Macon's not doing it. It's
Look.
another thing in a long line of things that he's afraid to try, so he makes fun of it.
Okay.
Steve.
Sounds exactly like I thought I was going to hear about Macon.
Is that not true?
No, that's not exactly true. Steve, are you flying to a college town every Thursday,
Yes.
out every Saturday to the Monday night venue?
I've been trying to come home on Sundays, see the fam, and then fly out Monday morning.
Golly
Are you going
day.
to Pittsburgh this week? Or are you
No,
going
double headers will do from Bristol.
Oh, that's got to feel good.
And then are you home Monday nights?
Yep, late.
Okay.
Little Peach action.
All right, let's do it. Who starts? Because, you know.
The 0-3 fella
Okay,
gets
that's good.
gets the
'Cause
I
I'm
get
not-
first.
Yeah, you get first pick.
All right.
Did you guys hear me say I didn't get to go through my usual process?
Were you
We heard it. You
tanking-
said
were
it
you
3
tanking
times,
for the
okay?
Eagles minus 6.5? Because that feels good, doesn't it, Steve?
It does.
No, guys.
No Gainwell, right?
No Gainwell, and they're going to heat up Jalen. And
Okay,
they got
then.
nobody on the back end on the other side.
Minnesota's got nobody on the back end. I said
Over,
this
I
before.
guess, then.
I said
Over.
I said this before with Minnesota. It is a brilliant way to tank. You've got a good quarterback. You let all your good position players go, and you bring in a guy, including the guys that cover. You bring in a guy that loves to heat people up and put DBs in not advantageous situations. I think it's a brilliant way to tank for the Vikings. Brian Flores, he's going to be double mugging Jalen Hurts to death, and they're just going to be getting the ball out on the perimeter.
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who to pick for these games.
Okay,
I'm going to go first.
Yeah, you're first.
Yeah,
Jacksonville.
Fuck!
Plus 3.5 at
They'll
home.
lose. They'll lose by 7 because you did this to me last week. It didn't pay off for you.
Home dog. That's my Super Bowl pick. Love what I see from the Jags. Dougie P. Give me it all. Love Bigsby, running back from Auburn.
Hey, be careful, Steve. Road teams were 12-3 against the spread last week.
That was last week.
Uh,
Macon was healthy last week.
9.5, huh? Okay. Raiders, 9.5
Ooh, nice.
in Buffalo.
Okay, I'll take Buffalo.
Oh.
Yeah, I just think this is a game where they go out and throttle these guys.
Chris, watching the tape, I'm watching in person, and when they needed it, they just flipped Diggs over to Reed so they get away from Sauce, and that's how they did the 2-minute drill. Like, that's not sustainable stuff, man. I know you've been into it, but I don't know offensively what they're going to do well besides Allen and Diggs.
Well, we both said it before the season. I don't know if you agreed or not, but like Buffalo probably takes a step back this year. I think the Josh stuff is one thing. If he can eliminate the 4 big mistakes a game, like that's some small.
How about
task.
2?
Yeah, just cut it in half, man.
He can't. Like, I was going through the numbers and watching, going up to Monday night. In that Week 9 game last year, the Jets had him struggle. He only threw 1 touchdown in 2 games against the Jets. He had 42 dropbacks, and the Jets only blitzed twice.
Exactly.
He doesn't have the patience, man.
This is not new. And the thing that kills me about Josh is, Aaron goes out. Learn different speeds.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, you can beat this team. At some point, there was a point late in this game where it was 13-6 on the third pick, or the second pick, rather. Losing track of the picks. But I think it's 2nd and 14. You got James Cook at the sticks. You dump it down to him, and it's a 7-yard gain, and you're 3rd and medium, and you're probably in field goal range. And you mean to tell a 10-point lead late in the third quarter is not going to beat the Jets and Zach Wilson, who made less mistakes than Josh Allen. You would have thought Zach Wilson was Josh Allen, and Josh Allen was Zach Wilson. In that Josh just didn't understand the terms of the game. It's like, you can beat these guys.
Yep.
And I also think the intermediate stuff's not there. And
that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's either a deep shot or it's a quick, on you right now slant or something in the flat.
get my guy Kincaid involved.
He's just tossing the ball up in the air to Diggs, and you wonder if it's a product of, hey, Diggs and I have been bitching to each other in the offseason.
Yeah.
I got to get him the ball, that sort of thing. That first slant he threw to Diggs, I thought he was mad at him. He threw the ball so fucking hard and off target, and Diggs is just holding his hands out here. But, yeah, like, spread the ball around, get James Cook going. I think this is a game where, because the Raiders won against Denver, you get a little bit more of the public. It's a big line, that sort of thing. I like the Bills.
Do you like keeping a guy like Sauce on one side of the field? Because Steve's right. All Buffalo did was move him, and then it was 7 yards on a slant.
I like a guy who can travel. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, you want a guy who can travel if need be, in my opinion. Okay, Steve, you're up.
Who'd Macon take?
I took the Raiders.
I took the other side of it.
Okay. Got it. I'm going to take the Falcons. At home. Wasn't pretty. Everyone talking about the Packers. Love what I saw from them. But this feels like a public play. Atlanta giving 1 right now. Is that what you guys have?
Yeah, one.
You can buy your half
Give
point.
me the home team with the stash.
Okay.
Arthur.
Oh God. I just don't know who to pick.
Close your eyes and
Late early for you, huh?
Is the biggest issue. Now it has to deal with the truncated night last night. I'm going to take. I don't think they have 2 freaking tackles at this point, but the Seahawks on the road in Detroit.
Yikes.
4.5.
Now, if it weren't for the tackles, I feel like this is the play because you're like, all right, everybody's going to be on the Lions. I think they overvalue that win a little bit. We talked about it earlier. Jared Goff, the matchup against some of the zone they're going to run and that sort of thing. I only like the Lions here because of the tackles.
Hey,
how about the under?
The under looks good. And by the way, you could bet 3 unders and probably go 2-1. I mean, like, that's the way it is right now. But I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take the Eagles at 6.5. Give me a second before I decide which point I'm going to buy.
well, it's only going to get you to a push.
Yeah, I don't mind a push. As you know,
That's true.
losing
You are
sucks.
unbeaten.
Yeah. Steve?
Steven.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Who had the Buccaneers 2-0?
I know. It's tantalizing.
Did you just give them
No, I did not.
Because I kind of like the Bears.
Yeah, I'm not touching that game. I'll go Steelers plus the points at home Monday night.
God, I hope you're right because that win total is looking. Cam Hayward with the groin injury, they're going to need a lot out of that Wisconsin kid. Kenny Pickett's getting palms up from Deontay Johnson, who I think is also out.
Yeah.
So, like, they got to rally.
Standard's a standard.
Okay, all right. He knows what he's doing. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to put my nuts on the line, and I'm going to do it. The Jets catching as many as possible because
Tempting.
We talked about it earlier. Dallas has blown people out before.
Yep.
Then look what they do after they blow people out. It's just not last year alone. They blew out the Vikings, then the Giants played them tough. They blew out the Bears, then lost to Green Bay. They blew out the Colts, then squeaked by the Texans and lost to the Jags. Like the Cowboys, nobody questions their top end ability. It's just can they string it together consecutively? And this defense is going to be a totally different deal. I think there is something in the run game there. Look at that first drive when the Giants were playing this game in phase. Give me the Jets on the road. Nobody's going to be on them.
Quick math here. 9-point spread, over under 38. So that Jets team total is going to be like 14.5.
Yeah.
Oof.
This game's 23-14.
Okay.
I mean, and at that point, I'm
You're a winner.
I'm a winner. 9.5. We're okay. 9.5. I see a lot of field goals in this game. I'm not
That'll
going to
be
buy
10
the
at
half right
kickoff.
there.
No
I'm going
doubt.
to take the Bills. I'm going to buy the half on the Bills. And no, I'm not going to buy the half. I'm going to buy the half on the Eagles. Buy the half on the Eagles.
Favorite matchup?
Favorite matchup of the week. Boy, oh boy.
Patriots against the Dolphins.
Oh yeah, that's my.
Cannot wait to
I
see
can't
what
wait for
they
that
do
game.
defensively.
I can't wait for that game.
My last pick. You ready?
Keon White against everybody.
So-
Showed me 3 rushes last week.
Judon.
Enough. Yeah.
Settle down. The Houston Texans
That's what that was my other one.
at home.
Okay. They
DJ,
play sound football.
Will Anderson. Ever heard of him?
Yeah. Nice sack. Good to
Guest
get
of the
that
show,
hole.
friend of the program.
Beautiful sack.
Great. Yeah, it was a good sack. But it's also nice when you get held sometimes because it whips your hips around. Dan won. I mean, so I like what I see from him. Grenard, we've talked about him. The back end there is more impressive than you'd think.
Home opener.
Home opener.
NRG.
Yep.
I'll take my half point with the Raiders there. Give me the 10. Thank you kindly.
Interesting.
Fuck. Did they blow them out?
That's where the national
They blow
championship
out.
is this year, by the way.
Where?
Houston.
Oh,
Last time it was there was the year 2016.
yep. Also the site of the Final Four. No, not at all. It was Minneapolis. That's where I played.
2016
I played,
was
yeah.
the Final Four.
National
2016.
champ. I was talking about football.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
We're bouncing
Sorry,
around
Steve.
here.
Sorry, you're a basketball school. My
We
bad.
do all
right.
we do all the
I
sports.
forgot.
I don't know. We covered.
Okay, Steve, is that we've got all our locks in? That's that, huh?
Steve, you want to talk about anything else?
Sucks when it ends.
I just, again,
Looking like Tiger Woods over there.
Shout out to the poor Branch and Kyle.
Yeah, shout out to Kyle. We talked about that last night. He was like, I heard Steve liked my my technique on the river.
Steve, when's the last time you paid for a clothes?
Actually, bought some new sneakers recently.
Wow, okay.
Best free gear you've gotten this year?
Ooh. Jess Sims gave me a pair of Jordans.
Okay. Is Ryan still sending you the Legends gear?
They don't make my size in Legends, so I have
that's
not been
interesting.
able to partake in the Legends.
I thought they made my size, but you can kind of see my balls in
Right?
all the shorts.
You're with me on that, right?
Yeah, and Ryan came to Montana in a pair of those Legends mediums, and my dad within like 3 minutes was like, my mom actually told Waylon to ask him why he has Waylon shorts on.
And yet nobody could see his balls. How's that at?
We are all laughing. All right, good, Steve. Go make your flight. I really wish I want to go to Boulder this year.
Yeah.
It seems like a great town. I kind of want to move to Boulder. All right, maybe Virginia can hire a Deion.
Ooh. Ed Reed, Bethune
Ed
Cookman.
Reed, bro.
Ed Reed.
Oh my God, I'm going to Carla's office. If Tony doesn't last, I'm going to Carla's office.
We'd be all the way back in.
Oh, I'll give you $1 million.
Yeah, and I'll double it.
In bonds. All right.
All right.
Steve, take it easy.